Welcome to Glisso English. Real life stories.
Have you ever matched with someone online who seemed absolutely perfect, only to realize the person sitting across from you in real life was a complete stranger? Today, we are going to look at the dark side of dating apps. We will see what happens when an exciting match turns into an uncomfortable, unsafe reality, and how a clever escape plan is sometimes the only option. Listen closely to the story, improve your English vocabulary, and make sure to stay tuned until the very end for our vocabulary list. Let's begin with Chapter 1. The notification on Leo's phone lit up the dark living room. The screen flashed with a bright, colorful alert from a popular dating app. He had matched with a vibrant woman named Fiona. Her profile photos showed a happy person who loved hiking, traveling, and reading classic books. Her written bio was witty, charming, and seemed incredibly genuine to anyone who read it. Leo felt a sudden, unexpected spark of genuine excitement in his chest. It had been a very long time since a profile caught his attention like this. They began messaging each other that very evening, exchanging pleasantries and sharing jokes. Fiona's text messages were incredibly quick, engaging, and full of delightful humor. She seemed to understand his jokes perfectly, and she answered every question with great detail. After 3 days of constant texting, Leo felt completely comfortable with her. She suggested meeting in person at a quiet, cozy bistro located downtown. Leo happily agreed to the suggestion, looking forward to a great conversation. He felt a deep sense of optimism about this new digital connection. It felt rare to find someone who shared so many of his specific interests and hobbies. He spent the rest of the night thinking about what they would talk about during dinner. The digital world made it seem like they were a perfect match made in heaven. Leo fell asleep that night feeling genuinely hopeful about the upcoming weekend. He believed that online dating was finally going to work out for him this time. He could not wait to see if her real-world personality matched her wonderful online profile. Leo spent the entire afternoon getting ready for the highly anticipated date. He wanted to make a fantastic first impression on Fiona. He carefully picked out his absolute favorite casual dark blue button-down shirt. He checked his appearance in the mirror multiple times before leaving his apartment. As he drove downtown, he kept thinking about Fiona's unique profile description. She claimed to value total honesty and deep, meaningful connections above all else. Those specific words had resonated with him deeply during their online conversations. Leo arrived at the downtown bistro exactly 15 minutes before their scheduled meeting time. He wanted to ensure he wasn't late, wanting to show her he was reliable. The bistro was charming, with warm lighting, soft acoustic music, and a cozy atmosphere. He chose a small wooden table located directly near the large front window. This spot gave him a perfect view of the street outside, so he could watch for her arrival. The environment felt perfectly inviting, relaxed, and ideal for a romantic first date. He ordered a glass of water and checked his phone one last time to reread her recent text messages. Her words were still full of warmth, enthusiasm, and friendly emojis. Everything about the situation felt incredibly promising, and his personal confidence was exceptionally high. He took a deep breath, smiled to himself, and waited patiently for the front door to open. He was completely certain that this evening was going to be a memorable success. He couldn't wait to finally turn this wonderful digital connection into a real-life romance. The front door of the busy downtown bistro finally opened with a soft chime. Leo looked up immediately, fully expecting to see the radiant woman from the colorful photos. Instead, a completely different person stepped inside and walked slowly toward his table. Leo stared in absolute silence, unable to comprehend what his eyes were seeing. The woman standing before him did not resemble the online profile pictures in the slightest. The photos on the app must have been taken at least a decade ago or belonged to someone else entirely. Her hair color, her height, and her overall appearance were completely unrecognizable. Without saying a single word of greeting, she sat down heavily in the empty wooden chair opposite him. She did not smile, she did not apologize for being late, and she did not introduce herself first. "I am Fiona," she finally said, her voice sounding incredibly sharp, cold, and entirely flat. Leo sat there completely frozen in total shock, his heart dropping into his stomach. He could feel the color draining from his face as the harsh reality set in. The warm, vibrant aura from her digital profile was entirely missing in this real-world encounter. He realized immediately, with a sinking feeling, that he had been heavily and intentionally catfished. The beautiful illusion created by the dating app vanished into thin air within a single second. An uncomfortable, heavy silence settled over the small table near the front window. Leo tried to find his voice, but his mind was racing with confusion and deep disappointment. He was trapped at a table with an absolute stranger who had lied from the very beginning. Leo tried his absolute best to remain polite and mask his deep, growing discomfort. He swallowed hard, forced a weak smile, and attempted to break the freezing silence. "It is nice to meet you in person, Fiona," he stammered, his voice trembling slightly. Fiona did not smile back, nor did she acknowledge his polite greeting in any way. Instead, she immediately began complaining loudly about the restaurant's dim lighting. She grumbled about the draft from the front door and the size of the wooden table. Her warm, engaging online personality was completely non-existent in this physical space. In person, she was intensely negative, bitter, and dismissive of everything around her. When the waiter arrived, she spent 10 full minutes aggressively criticizing his outfit and the menu. Leo sat in stunned silence, barely recognizing the person he had texted for days. The witty jokes and kind words from the app were entirely replaced by harsh complaints. He tried to steer the conversation toward safer topics, like her favorite books or hobbies. Fiona merely rolled her eyes and gave short, one-word answers that shut down any dialogue. She seemed completely uninterested in getting to know him or making any pleasant conversation. Leo felt a heavy, cold pit of anxiety growing larger and larger in his stomach. The realization that he was stuck with an angry stranger made him feel incredibly trapped. Every passing minute felt like an eternity as her negativity filled the small space between them. He realized this was no longer just a disappointing date, it was becoming a psychological nightmare. The conversation quickly grew much more uncomfortable and intensely stressful for Leo. Fiona stopped complaining about the restaurant and turned her sharp focus entirely on him. She began asking highly personal, intrusive questions about Leo's private finances. She demanded to know his exact profession and how much money he earned annually. She asked if he owned his apartment or if he was merely renting it. When Leo politely tried to deflect the invasive questions, she became visibly irritated. Her forehead wrinkled, and she started aggressively tapping her long fingernails on the wooden table. The rhythmic, sharp clicking sound filled the tense air between them, mimicking a ticking clock. Her cold eyes darted around the room constantly, never staying fixed on one spot for long.
She seemed intensely erratic, unpredictable, and completely emotionally unstable. Leo watched her body language closely and felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He realized this situation was no longer just an awkward, unpleasant dating experience. Her aggressive tone and erratic behavior made him feel deeply unsafe in her presence. He knew he could not simply sit through a full dinner with this person. The initial disappointment had officially transformed into a genuine need for survival. He needed to find a smart, safe strategy to leave the restaurant without causing a scene. If he rejected her openly, he feared her obvious anger might escalate into a public confrontation. His mind raced as he quietly looked for an immediate way out of this dangerous trap.
Leo needed a safe, reliable way to exit this highly dangerous situation immediately. He knew that a sudden, rude departure might provoke her intense, unpredictable anger. If he just stood up and walked away, she might cause a massive scene in the middle of the restaurant. He decided it was best to create a very plausible, ordinary excuse to step away from the table. "I need to use the restroom for a quick moment," Leo said, forcing his voice to sound completely calm. Fiona did not reply. She simply stared at him coldly and narrowed her dark eyes in suspicion. Leo stood up slowly, making sure to keep his smartphone firmly clutched in his right hand. He left his jacket on the back of the chair to make it look like he was definitely returning. He walked quickly and deliberately toward the back hallway of the busy bistro. As soon as he was out of her direct line of sight, his heart began racing at a frantic pace. His palms were sweating, and his mind was working overtime to formulate a foolproof escape plan. He knew he could not simply hide in the restroom forever, hoping she would eventually leave. He needed to find a professional ally within the restaurant to help him navigate this safely. He needed to alert someone about his situation without drawing Fiona's sharp attention toward him. Taking a deep, shaky breath, he looked around the back corridor, trying to spot a staff member. Every second counted, and he knew he had to act quickly before she came looking for him.
Leo did not go directly to the crowded restroom at the back of the hallway. Instead, he looped around the corner and walked straight to the main bar counter. The bartender, a calm, observant man named Marcus, looked up from cleaning a glass. Leo caught his eye immediately and spoke in a very low, serious, and focused voice. "I am on a terrible date over by the window, and I feel deeply unsafe," Leo whispered. Marcus listened intently, his professional expression changing into one of understanding and serious concern. He had worked in the restaurant industry long enough to recognize this exact type of emergency. "I understand completely, and I am going to help you get out of here," Marcus said reassuringly. "I can bring over a fake emergency phone call to your table in a few minutes," Marcus offered. Leo felt a massive, overwhelming wave of relief wash over his entire body at those words. It was an incredible comfort to know that someone was looking out for his safety. They agreed on the quick, precise execution of the clever escape plan. Marcus told Leo to head back to the table and act as natural as possible for just 2 minutes. Leo thanked the bartender quietly, feeling a sudden surge of confidence return to his chest. He wiped his sweaty palms on his jeans and prepared to face Fiona one last time. With a plan in place, he felt much more capable of handling the stressful situation. He walked back out into the main dining area, keeping his eyes fixed ahead. He knew that freedom from this terrifying encounter was only a few moments away. Leo returned to the small wooden table near the front window and sat back down slowly. Fiona glared at him immediately, her sharp eyes filled with deep suspicion and clear annoyance. "You took a very long time in the restroom," she said,
her voice dripping with sudden hostility. Leo opened his mouth to offer a polite excuse, but he didn't need to speak a single word. Before she could continue her aggressive questioning, Marcus approached their table with a professional expression. The calm bartender held the restaurant's cordless landline phone firmly in his right hand. "Excuse me, sir, are you Leo?" Marcus asked loudly, his voice carrying clearly over the ambient music. "Yes, I am," Leo replied immediately, playing his assigned role in the escape plan perfectly. "There is an extremely urgent call for you from your apartment building manager," Marcus said seriously. Fiona looked highly annoyed by the sudden, unexpected interruption and crossed her arms tightly. Leo took the heavy black phone from Marcus with a visibly worried, anxious expression on his face. He held the receiver to his ear and began pretending to listen intently to a frantic conversation. "Hello? Yes, this is Leo speaking," he said into the phone, his voice laced with mocked urgency. Marcus stood by the table, acting as a solid barrier between Leo and the erratic woman. Leo nodded his head quickly, widening his eyes as if receiving the worst possible news. Every movement was calculated to make the fake emergency look completely genuine to anyone watching. He could feel Fiona's intense, angry gaze burning into him, but he kept his focus entirely on the phone. The trap was finally opening, and the moment to make his final move had arrived.
Leo pretended to listen intently to the fake phone call, nodding his head with frantic speed. "Oh no! A major water pipe burst on the top floor?" Leo said loudly into the receiver. He looked across the table at Fiona with a look of modern, overwhelming urgency and panic. "My apartment is completely flooding, and I absolutely have to leave right now," Leo said. Fiona scoffed loudly, rolled her eyes aggressively, and crossed her arms in total disbelief. She could tell her control over the situation was slipping away, and she looked furious. Leo did not wait for her angry response, nor did he care about her hostile reaction. He quickly pulled out his wallet and threw down enough cash to cover the entire dinner bill. He wanted to ensure the restaurant was paid and that he owed this stranger absolutely nothing. He grabbed his jacket from the back of the wooden chair with a swift, decisive motion. Without looking back, he turned around and walked briskly toward the front exit of the bistro. Marcus gave him a subtle, reassuring nod of approval as Leo passed the main bar counter. Leo could feel Fiona's angry, burning gaze heavy on his back as he moved away from her. His heart was pounding hard against his ribs, but he did not slow down his pace. Every step took him further away from the unpredictable danger and closer to total freedom. He reached the front entryway, his hand reaching out for the heavy brass door handle. He didn't care how rude it looked. His personal safety was his only true priority now. He pushed the door open, ready to leave the terrifying dating app nightmare far behind him.
Leo pushed open the heavy glass door of the bistro with a forceful shove. The cool night air hit his face instantly, calming his racing thoughts and lowering his adrenaline. He walked quickly down the sidewalk, not stopping until he reached a well-lit, crowded public area. He pulled out his phone, his hands shaking slightly as he opened the dating app. He immediately blocked Fiona's profile permanently so she could never find him again online. He also blocked her phone number in his contacts to prevent any angry text messages or calls. Once the digital walls were securely up, he breathed a deep, genuine sigh of immense relief. He was completely safe, unhurt, and finally on his familiar way back home to his apartment. This terrifying experience taught him to be far more cautious with online profiles in the future. He realized that people could easily hide their true, dangerous natures behind a screen. Real life was completely different from the curated, perfect world of digital dating profiles.
He was incredibly grateful for his quick thinking and the wonderful help from the kind bartender. As he unlocked his apartment door, he knew he would never forget this bizarre dating nightmare. He sat down on his couch, glad to be surrounded by the safety of his own home. The date was an absolute disaster, but he had successfully navigated the danger and survived.
What a crazy story. It shows us just how important it is to trust your gut and always have a safety plan when meeting someone new. Leo's experience is a powerful reminder that the digital world and real life can be completely different, and knowing how to navigate an uncomfortable situation safely is a vital skill. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever gone through such an experience on a dating app? Tell me your experience down below in the comments. I read each one. And don't forget, you can find all the vocabulary of the story down below in the description box. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep learning English through real-life scenarios, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Don't forget to share your thoughts on Leo's escape plan in the comments below. See you in the next story. Goodbye.